service. It obviously means a lot to a lot of people. You know, I don't have to use it today, but, you know, someday I will possibly have to use a service such as that. So I think it's important, and, you know, I look forward to talking with Gary, trying to find ways to keep the thing rolling. So that's all I got.
I wouldn't have anything to add to that. I'd agree with Mr. Hoffman completely.
Scott.
It'd be nice to find some money somewhere. I'm in agreement. One of these days I'm gonna need it. I hope. That's all I got.
I'm in total agreement. If there's some way we could do something, we probably should.
Convenient.
Yeah, I totally agree with what everybody said here, and how vital that is to see. I see a lot of them at the Y, because I go up to the Y, and I see them picking them up, dropping them off, and it's very nice to see that, because we're about community, and anything we do for community is what we're supposed to do. Thanks, Gary.
Fire.
I agree with everybody else. We need to help them.
Gary, you sell advertisement on your vans.
I do.
Do you have all the advertisements you can use, or is there a possibility of getting more people to, that's gotta be a help.
Yeah, it's $2 a day for each day the van's out. We have multiple people. The only thing about like the back windows, the drivers don't like that because they don't see as well. So the new vans, we have big windows on the back and the front. We're trying to do the back first. And if they're not opposed to putting a sticker on the side like we used to, we had magnets, but now they're using the new digital stuff and all that on the windows. But if they're not opposed to putting a magnet on there like we always did before, yeah, we can put more advertising. I don't think the commissioners would want to look like a billboard per se.
Well, maybe if the commissioners don't like to look like a billboard, maybe they should change. If anybody would like to get advertised on your vans,
Absolutely.
contact you, and
Yeah.
we're more than happy to set them up.
Yes.
I mean, every little bit helps.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other citizens have anything they'd like to say this evening? I think we get just about everybody out there, except for Virginia.
We'll get her started.
I know. Okay. We're going to move into ordinances and resolutions, third reading, Madam Clerk.
Marty, I'm sorry, I had signed in to do a citizen's comment too. I thought you were still asking about
Oh,
CT.
I was, I'm sorry, I thought you were with the
No.
Monument Square District.
You had two. You go.
I just wanted to come to the city council meeting more as an FYI. Recently, as you know, with the possibility of Memorial Health building the facility here in Urbana, I've been working with Urbana MOB and Memorial Health on an enterprise zone application. So the letters to both school districts, Urbana City School and Ohio High Point, were sent out last week, certified mail. If they were not delivered on Saturday, they would have been delivered on Monday. Those notifications have gone out along with the application. The application is for 75% for the incentive for 10 years. In the cover letter that went with the city and the High Point school districts, it talks about the whole project, but basically for the parcel, they're looking at construction just on the building of $8.4 to $9 million investment. Total investment to be 9.9 up to 10.7 million, based on the equipment they'll be adding and those kinds of things. It's approximately about 30,000 square feet. For the employment, what they're looking at, they have 16 full-time employees currently located here in Urbana at the family positions and different office spaces. Those folks would transfer to the newly constructed building, and then they are also looking at bringing in 12 new full-time medical staff, clinicians, and support staff to the facility as well. The current real estate tax on that vacant piece of property that they're looking at is $217.57 half a year. Those taxes would be, the new tax rate would be based on the new construction. If it's owned by Urbana MOB as a private entity, those real estate taxes go into play. If Memorial Health would own the property and the building, there would be no taxes, no real estate taxes at all. So I wanted to make sure that the school districts were informed of that as well. So that's in the cover letter too. So we're looking at a projected payroll currently is 1.16 million, and with the 12 new positions, an increase of that payroll for another 1.63 million is what they're estimating. So I want to make sure, as the CEP, as the economic development agent for the city, this agreement has been sent out, application has been sent out. We have a 45-day process, and this is, once the schools review it and get back to me, then I bring it back to the city council. Once the city council takes action, if it would be approved, then it goes on to the county commissioners for final approval. That's the process for an enterprise zone. So I want to make sure you were aware that these letters have gone out to the school districts.
Thank you. Okay, any other citizen? Need to miss anybody else? Ordinances and resolutions for a third reading, Madam Clerk.
Ordinance number 4001-16, an ordinance to correct previous City of Urbana ordinance number 4001, vacating an alley in P.B. Ross Second Edition subdivision.
Okay, council, this is a third reading, and we need a motion to that effect, please.
I'll move that we place ordinance number 4001-16 on the floor for discussion and possible passage.
Second.
Thank you. One more time, Doug.
All right, this is an alley vacation that the process was started back in 1996, but we found that we were not in the habit of recording anything with county recorders, and this is one that we've caught recently. This alley, there's actually a building built in part of it, and basically this ordinance is to correct an error in the ordinance that was passed in 96 that essentially vacated this alley. There's really two portions to the alley. One portion is off of Talbot Avenue, heading eastward towards the McKeever excavating property. And then there's an unapproved alley that runs across the properties along Talbot. There was an error in what was done in 96. It would have basically cut off the access to that unimproved alley. So this is correcting that previous ordinance, and then basically letting the original vacation stand except for that correction. There's also a piece of alley that at that eastward point that then goes out to Bloomfield that also was part of that original vacation. So basically it's to clean up what was done in 96, and upon passage of this, and I believe it has to sit for 30 days, it will be recorded so that this alley will officially be vacated. We continue to find these, and I know something Tyler wanted to have our intern work on this summer that I'm not sure he was able to get to, was to go back through lots of these old alley vacation processes and make sure they were properly recorded. But in the interim, we've just kind of been catching them as they come up. So,
Mr. Scott, questions?
No, it's pretty straightforward. Thank you.
Mr. Thacker?
No questions.
Mr. Pena?
No, thank you.
Mr. Piper? Mr. Fields?
Nothing.
Mr. Hoffman?
No, thank you.
Mr. Ball?
Nope.
Okay. Hearing no questions, roll call on the passage of ordinance 4001-16, please.
Mr. Pena?
Yes.
Mr. Thackeray?
Yes.
Mr. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Fields?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Thank you, council. Hope we can clean up any more that you find. We have no second readings. A few first readings.
Resolution number 2494-16, a resolution declaring necessity and intent to appropriate an interest in real property parcel 25-SH for the East US Route 36 roadway reconstruction project and declaring an emergency. Rule suspension requested.
We'll listen and we'll decide.
please. All right, this is another standard highway easement on the south side of 36 in anticipation of the project. This is Aaron's Rents. Our negotiator has been in contact with them off and on over the last year. They are a large publicly traded corporation, so they are sometimes hard to he's talked to someone, but he couldn't get to the next level to where their legal counsel would actually look at what we provided to them. So basically, at this point, they failed to respond. Would be an appropriation process similar to what we had, I believe, at the last meeting or the meeting before, for the hotel, on 36 there for being essentially non-responsive to this process. So the next step in being able to secure the property is to go through this appropriation process. Point of note, part of that process, this resolution, if you look at section 6, the Director of Finance is authorized to issue a check in the amount of $31,334 for the appraised value of this property and place these funds on deposit with the Champaign County Clerk of Courts as part of this process. That being said, again, we have a appraisal that was prepared for the property, and that was the amount of money that was being offered for that appraisal. There is a monument sign on that property that we would be buying outright, in the way this was written up. And they also have a larger value assigned to the price per acre. It would be 0.046 net acres, 2004 square feet plus or minus, but they're attributing a $250,000 per acre price to this parcel.
They're just a-
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Wrong part of town.
Okay, council. Let's talk about it. We need a motion to talk about this.
Make a motion to talk about it.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we can talk now. Mr. Fields, you might as well start it.
Are we getting any of this money reimbursed back up?
We're not. This was budgeted this year as part of what we had to accomplish to be able to get to construction.
So, we can't take this and don't take this wrong, we can't take an eminent domain,
This is
This
imminent.
is imminent.
and we have to pay that kind of money.
We have to deposit it with the court in order to enter the property.
And one of the reasons we have appraisers and review appraisers establish a value is later on in the process, once it's appropriated, a entity could ask for a jury trial to determine the value of the property. So part of what you're trying to do here is establish a solid value that's defensible. Despite what everybody thinks it should be, it's based on appraisal work, so.
Yeah, we have to deposit the fair market value of the property.
Correct.
We are enhancing your property. We're taking that ditch out, and that cement, we're going to enhance their property, we gotta pay them that kind of money.
We are enhancing within the right of way.
We are acquiring right of way.
We are acquiring right of way and improving the right of way.
Mr. Hoffman.
Whole thing's a work. You know?
Mr. Paul.
Think you've done already? Okay. So, when you say it's a standard highway easement, do we keep this, or we?
Yes.
Okay.
It's permanent right of way.
Okay, the other thing that you said too, that is the fact that it's been budgeted already, we know this was coming. This isn't really a big surprise, and if we don't approve it,
The project's dead,
then we're dead.
Beginning project.
Right, exactly.
despite all of our investment.
Let's be honest, at the end of the day, we don't really have much of a choice if we wanna get the project done, so. You may not like it, but it kinda is what it is at this point, so. That's all.
Mr. Scott.
Smells like dead fish.
Mr.
No more
Thackeray.
comments, thank you.
Mr. Thackeray.
We talked about a monument that we have to come, a monument sign that we have to come.
They have a small monument sign out there
Now,
for their
what's the
business.
communications on that? I mean, you go out and start taking the sign down, the manager comes out and says, what are you doing? I mean,
Once this money's been filed with the court, it's our sign,
Yeah.
they
and it's
know
our
that-
property,
they will know
until they answer in court and that process plays out.
that.
But,
So, we may have a manager that come out, what are you doing?
yeah,
They don't know.
and in this case, we would have bought it outright.
If
The
they're
Champaign
covered.
residential one, same thing. There's a certain date that will go in the documents that says it has to be removed by that
Champaign
date.
Residential knows it's going.
Yeah.
Correct.
Every
They know.
corporation that owns property there knows it's going, and our appraisers have communicated with them. The issue is, for this particular parcel, we have not gotten corporate to contact us back as far as the negotiations. So,
So it won't be a surprise to them.
it may be a surprise to the manager, but the corporation, Aaron's Rents, has been notified. we are actively seeking this right of way. And we just have not heard back from them.
Our negotiator made contact with several people over the last year at the company, but it was getting it up to senior legal counsel in Atlanta that would take the time to look at it and respond, essentially. It's what, I mean,
I'm sure it will.
it's a corporation, so, you know, they've gotta have certain people look at it, sign off on it, send it back. And sometimes, our negotiator told us sometimes with large corporations, it's easier for them just not to respond, let it go to court, and then they'll respond. And right or wrong or indifferent, he said he's seen that on other projects, so.
Mr. Pena.
Is there a chance they can get us for more money if it goes to court?
If
If
it
the
went to the jury trial.
If a jury decides that the value is higher. But as soon as we deposit the fair market value, we can enter the property and do the work.
And remember, part of the value of the determination is based on what they may have paid for this parcel of land, plus adjustments made for comparable sales in the area. There's also they also have a comparable sale that's not in this market to try to balance all those out. So I think this was one when it transferred, when they purchased this land, they paid a pretty good price for the land. So that's why you saw a jump between the two numbers, yet they're side by side.
Is there something to do with profit and non-profit?
Not necessarily, it's land value, it's what was paid for land.
Let's talk about business-wise, so, all right, I understand what you're saying.
Yep.
Mr. Piper.
I guess if we have to do it, we might as well go for it.
Can I get those guys' business cards?
Well, if you want to.
The appraisers, I've got some land in town, some commercial.
Small. Mr. Hess, Mr. Fields has it.
Can we use any of this for in-kind towards our on the 36 project?
No, we have to match our grants on the construction side.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Even if it's a
Okay.
Again, we budgeted and planned for these three parcels
Okay,
this
and
year.
I understand
You
that.
guys approved all this a long time ago.
Well, I understand that.
You didn't realize what it was.
Well, we knew what it was, we just didn't say it was right.
Right.
Yeah. Just because a piece of land went for $250,000, you know, and you didn't have it.
I have the full appraisals in my office, so, I mean, anytime you're welcome to stop up and take a look through them. I mean, it really gives you an idea that you just didn't pull the value out of the air. It's based on a methodology, so.
Go ahead.
Is there any additional liability potential on our part because they don't have the sign any longer, they can't do business and they come back for damages or anything?
That's part of what's
Just a
in the,
question.
yeah, that's part of buying the sign outright.
That's part of the fair market value calculation,
Okay.
that they might have to replace it.
Right.
It
So
would
they
be
can't
down
come,
for a
they can't
period
come
while
back
they
and say
replace
they
it.
damaged our business by doing this? Okay.
Early on, there was someone he spoke with that, the appraiser spoke with that was concerned about the sign being lost.
Right.
And we even looked at how it could be re-permitted and relocated and all that, and that person then wasn't in the chain of discussion as we came back and offered, you know, what we were offering, so again, you're dealing with a big corporation, so.
Anything else, council? Because you got another one to do the same thing.
Just last question, we're suspending the rules for this. What's the timeline? Are
We
gonna
have
close
to
the
have all
timeline?
the, yeah, that's the other part. So on these next two, we have to have all the property acquired for the property by November 18th.
Got it.
So, these two are the last two, other than the money you approved for CRSI, these are the last two that need to be filed. Once they are filed and this money is deposited with the court, we've acquired the property and we can give the ODOT the case number, and we have our acquisition in place and we can go to bid for construction.
Great, okay, thanks, Doug.
Okay, council, you feel like suspending the rules on this one?
Mr. President, I move that we suspend the three reading rules on resolution number 2494-16.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on suspension? You asked me a question on why, so, yeah. Okay, roll call on suspension, please.
Mr. Thackeray.
Yes.
Mr. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Paul.
Yes.
Mr. Scott.
Yes.
Mr. Fields.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
And Mr. Pena.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. President, I move that we place resolution number 2494
Roll call on passage, please.
Mr. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Fields?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yeah.
Mr. Pena?
Yes.
Mr. Thackeray?
Yes.
That passes unanimously. Thank you, council. And now we get to do it all over again.
That's right.
Next one, please.
Resolution number 2433-16.
Time out.
Sorry, how about, resolution 2495-16? Boom. Resolution declaring necessity and intent to appropriate an interest in real property, parcel 26-SHST for the East US Route 36 roadway reconstruction project and declaring an emergency. Rule suspension requested.
We're gonna wait till after you take it away first.
Okay. Spartan Brothers Capital is the old Walmart store, TSC property. Basically, this property owner owns what was the old Walmart store. That being said, again, we have a standard highway easement along the length of the property. We're using $85,000 an acre for land. There's also a stormwater easement that is being acquired, and also a temporary is needed in a certain area of the project for access. Altogether, their offer was $23,476. We did make communication with our negotiator, talked quite a bit with this property owner. He made a counteroffer. We looked at that counteroffer very closely, actually made a counteroffer to that counteroffer, and that was not accepted, so we reverted back to this is the value that the appraiser has determined, and that's the amount that would go on deposit with the court.
$23K.
$23,476. It's also in your resolution, that same amount.
Okay, council. Place it on the business board for suspension. Who wants to make that? And then we'll.
Oh, I'll do that. Mr. President, I move that we suspend the three reading rules for resolution number 2495-16.
And I'll second.
Okay, questions for Mr. This is no different than the last one except the price.
Well,
There's no sign.
Yeah.
Some improvements that are being paid for, some trees and shrubs and things that are in the take, so.
in this particular case, so this is a corporation that's owned out of Clark County, and if there does have some settlement reached, then this eminent domain action may not result in what would probably be a default judgment in Aaron's case if the corporation does not respond. We expect this corporation to respond because they're disputing the value, whether they would insist on a jury trial or continue to negotiate on the actual value. This would give us the right to enter the property, perform the work, but we may end up settling out of court.
Questions? Mr. Piper?
I have none.
Point of order, don't we have something on the floor that we're supposed to vote on? Didn't I?
Suspension?
Yeah, the suspension.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Roll call on suspension, then we can talk.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Okay.
Mr. Fields?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yeah.
Mr. Pena?
Yes.
Mr. Thackeray?
Yes.
And Mr. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. President, I move that we place resolution number 2495-16 on the business floor for continued discussion and possible passage.
And I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Piper, you had no questions?
I have no question.
Mr. Fields?
Vote. Now we get there.
Mr. Hoffman? Mr. Paul?
No.
Mr. Scott?
Well, at least you got people coming back to you on this one. And
He has.
they made an offer, they countered, you countered,
Right.
and since that wasn't getting you where you wanted to be, you're going with your first appraisal.
Right, it reverts back to the original appraised amount.
But there's a possibility that these talks could go on down the road. It could be held amicably, it might cost us a hair more. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Thackeray?
But that would potentially slow the project down.
No, that's the reason this
Right.
process
Okay.
exists.
Okay, that's all I had.
Okay, if there's no further questions, council, roll call on the passage of 2495-16.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Fields?
Of course.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Pena?
Yes.
Mr. Thackeray?
Yes.
Mr. Paper?
Yes.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Passes unanimously. And the next resolution, please.
Resolution number 2433-16, a resolution to appropriate money for the several objects and purposes which the city of Urbana, Ohio must provide for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2017.
My time flies. Okay, council. I guess Chris will talk about this one.
I handed out a paper copy of the resolution for you if you want to make notes. It's that time again for the budget to be approved. What we're looking at is a general fund budget of $6,377,482. Earlier in July, we submitted to the Budget Commission estimated revenue for the general fund of $6,384,406. So we are in the black $6,942 for our 2017 budget. Both of these revenue and expenses, it's an estimated 1.4% increase over 2016. So it's a pretty flat year-over-year budget. I know I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The money coming in is going right back out for services for the community. We're not holding anything back at this point.
Right.
A change from last year is, if you recall, last year our water and sewer funds brought on additional debt, so we were negative in 2016. For 2017, both of those budgets are balanced. So the revenue generated in 2017 matches their expenses for 2017.
Good. Mr. Pena, questions?
No, thank you.
Mr. Piper?
No, thank you.
Mr. Fields?
No, we met today, kind of went over it. They're doing all they can.
Mr. Hoffman?
No, thank you, Chris.
Mr. Paul?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Mr. Scott?
Not right now.
Okay. Mr. Thackeray?
I like black ink.
Okay. Hearing no questions, we'll declare resolution, I just lost it. future
Yeah.
industrial development. Okay? I thought about that one also. Mr. Fields, anything you'd like to add? Mr. Paul?
Oh, yeah. So I gave this a little thought, and I apologize I had to leave early after we talked a little bit about this on Tuesday. I'm not really sure what we're gonna accomplish by doing this. I get the idea, yeah, we have some concerns, and we started with safety initially, and I get that considering, 68, where that is. But I'm not sure what we're gonna really accomplish by doing this. We've already got a tenuous relationship, so to speak, I think, with the schools, from what I can tell. And besides saying, yes, when there is an issue, we can all say, hey, we said that this was gonna be a problem. But it's not solving anything, we're not pushing anything forward by doing this, at least not in this current version of the letter that I see. So, I don't know that we're really doing much by presenting this letter. So that's kind of my perspective on it right now. If the letter changes, okay, maybe, but, in the current version, I don't really see what we're gonna accomplish. So, that's all. Thank you.
Mr. Scott?
I have to agree with Mr. Paul. I
know there were traffic studies done, and I don't dispute people that are traffic engineers, I'm just telling you, there are gonna be lines of people waiting to exit that single drive to get to where they're gonna go. You're gonna have K through 8, I don't know how many kids that is, we talked about it, you're gonna have hundreds and hundreds of people, one kid to a car, lined up in a parking lot to leave onto a busy highway that's gonna have to alternate with factory traffic coming and going south, and traffic coming back to town from the south going north. It's going to be a nightmare. I'm going on the record saying that. The school can do what they want, that we have zero say-so as a citizen and as a city. We voted this thing in. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. My problem solving, talking to people and seeing things, this is not a good location. They can do what they want. We can't stop it, nor do I want to stop the school. I want a school. We all voted this thing in